Hi, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Find Your Way to Vibe. I'm Amber, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. This episode is an invitation to slow down, to look back with tenderness, and to recognize the unseen strength that made it possible for you to be standing exactly where you are today. Because none of us have arrived here on our own. We were carried here by love, by sacrifice, by resilience, and by women who kept going even when the path was unclear. So settle in and let's get started. Before we begin, take a breath with me. Take a deep breath in and out. Wherever you are, allow yourself to arrive. This is your invitation to slow down, to listen inward, remember what matters, and to walk gently into this space with me. Welcome to Find Your Way to Vibe. Welcome back. We are 4 episodes in now, and I am still finding my rhythm and learning how to balance it all, but I feel like it's going pretty well. I'm still working through some editing kinks and behind the scene details, but I'm learning as I go and having a lot of fun in the process. And that's what matters, right? Having fun while we do what we love. I will say that keeping up with all the social media stuff has probably been my weakest link. So if you feel moved, please share, like, and follow wherever you listen to your podcasts or on your socials. I would really appreciate that. I've also really appreciated the feedback that I have received so far, so thank you for that. And if you have any tips or thoughts or things that you'd love to hear more of, please don't hesitate to reach out at the Find Your Way to Vibe website. I might have been a little crazy starting this at such a busy time of the year, but in the best way. It has pushed me to a whole new level and helped me to stay grounded in my commitment to this and myself, especially because it keeps me on a tight schedule and it keeps me on my toes. I really think that I can only go up from here. So we're going to move forward with that positive aspect, the optimism. And I just want to say thank you for your support and listening each week. In the last episode, I shared my New Year's ritual, my New Year's walk, and how it helped me heal, how it deepened my connection with my children, and how it gave me a more meaningful way to honor everything the year held. It allowed me to step forward feeling a whole lot lighter, more refreshed, and open to the year ahead. And this week, we're going to shift in a different direction, and I will be honoring the women who came before me and how each of them played a pivotal role in paving the path forward. But before we move into today's reflection, I want to pause and share how I found my way to vibe this week. This week, I noticed I was feeling a little bit more tired than usual, so I listened to that. Starting my days early, training, and keeping up with all my other work responsibilities, and on top of all of this, it has honestly kicked my butt. So I gave myself permission to rest. I intentionally went to bed a lot earlier than usual, and that alone made a huge difference in the way I moved through the week. But what truly filled my cup was getting out on the trail in the early morning hours the other day. I needed that. I love my morning hikes. I miss them tremendously. They are so quiet, so peaceful, and it hits in a whole different way. I really needed that. When I got there, it was a lot darker than I anticipated, but that just added to the ambiance of it all, especially because I had the sound of the creek coming down as I was hiking up to the waterfall. And when I arrived to the waterfall, I just laid, there's a big rock nearby. So I just laid on the rock and listened to the world around me and waited for the sun to arrive. I was probably there for about 30 minutes and I just took it all in. And I really set the intention to recharge, and that's exactly what I did. Rest and a hike at dawn don't threaten me with a good time. So that's how I found my way to value my being this week. And it was much needed and much appreciated. Now I want to turn it over to you. How did you find your way to vibe this week? Head on over to the Find Your Way to Vibe website and share it with me. I truly look forward to hearing your stories. This week, we get to officially kick off the Listener's Vibe segment of the podcast. I'm really excited for this. Today's listener who chose to share their way to vibe with us is Kelly. Kelly shared that she found her way to value her being by slowing down enough to notice how much she's been carrying and choosing just one evening to rest without guilt, enjoying the slowdown that she rarely gets in her busy life. Kelly, thank you for sharing that with us. Stories like this remind us that our way to vibe doesn't always come from big moments. Sometimes it's found in the quiet choice to pause, to listen, and to care for ourselves. And when we begin to notice those moments, gratitude naturally follows. So let's slow down together and step gently onto today's trail of gratitude. For the trail of gratitude today, I invite you to think beyond moments and instead notice people. Those who held you when you couldn't hold yourself. Those who stayed when things were heavy. Those whose strength quietly shaped your life, even if they never knew it. Today, I'm choosing to let my gratitude show up throughout the episode rather than naming it all right here. It will be in the reflections, the memories, and the lessons being shared. A trail of gratitude unfolding as we go, if you will. And as we pause together now, notice where gratitude is already present for you too. Wherever you are right now, whether you're walking, driving, sitting, or lying down listening, take a few breaths and let that awareness settle. You might write something down, you might simply feel it, or you might even notice it move through your body. However it comes in, simply let it be. For today, I'll let this episode carry my gratitude, allowing it to reveal itself naturally, step by step as we walk. As we move forward again, let's carry that gratitude with us, not as something we leave behind, but as something that walks beside us. So come along with me as we step into today's reflection. Over the past few weeks, I found myself thinking a lot about my grandmothers. One of them passed away 11 years ago on December 30th, and the other would have celebrated a birthday last week. and passed away 5 years ago this coming week. So they've been on my mind quite a bit. And as those dates passed through my heart, I realized I wasn't just thinking about them. I was thinking about all the women who came before them, the women whose names I know and the ones that I don't, the women whose choices, sacrifice, and resilience quietly shaped the life that I'm living today. I feel deeply honored to be their granddaughter, to be connected to them through blood, through memory, and through the lessons they left behind. And while I don't know every detail of the family history, I know enough to understand this. So many of them beat the odds again and again. Their survival created the path that I now walk. On my mom's side of the family, my knowledge is a little bit more limited, but what I do know has stayed with me. My great-great-grandmother was a homemaker. She raised her family with care and spent much of her time gardening. My mom would tell me how much she loved visiting her and her gardens, and how nurturing life through the soil brought her a lot of peace. From her, I learned that tending to what you love, slowly and consistently, matters. My great-grandmother, she raised 3 children, including my grandmother. She spent her days creating beautiful flower arrangements, I was told, amongst several other things. I did get to spend time with her. However, I was pretty young when she passed. I want to say I was around 11, but I still carry vivid memories of her home. She had this vintage couch, and if I remember correctly, it was green. Maybe it was floral. Maybe it was brown. I don't know. I just know vintage couch vividly in my memory. And then she had this covered patio where we would go out and play with this old, very old toy box and toys when we went to visit. I just remember it being a quiet space, and I felt safe and welcome there. So, yeah, those are some vivid memories I've had of her house. I didn't even think I remembered those, but they popped in the other day when I was thinking about her. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. So that was fun to revisit. And from her, I learned that beauty can be created in ordinary spaces. Then there's my Grandma V, a woman I was lucky to have many years with. She brought a lot of joy into my life. Some of my favorite memories with her include her taking my cousin and myself to the mall for our birthdays together, where she let us pick out our gifts, and we always made a day out of it. We would take the bus up to the mall and spend the day with her, and that was a lot of fun for us. We also went on several family picnics, KFC being a highlight of those picnics oftentimes. And most of the time, I remember going up to different places where we could either walk around a lake or that had trails that we could explore. We created a lot of memories that I still treasure from that time. She was kind and steady and loving. I never experienced her being unkind. I know she got frustrated, and I'm sure my mom would have a different experience with her, but I do. I remember her always being so kind and loving and caring. She did endure a lot of unfairness and hardships in her life, yet she remained calm, faithful, and always grounded. She showed me what it looks like to meet life with grace, even when it isn't gentle. She raised 7 children, including my mom, and taught me through example that love doesn't waver, it holds. I also learned from her that it's okay to be introverted. She was very introverted and she spent a lot of time alone, but she did a lot of different things. She did a lot of genealogy work and things like that. So she made good use of her time being an introvert, but her way of life also inspired me to go out beyond my fear to do things that I enjoy to do today. So I am very fond of my grandma and I'm grateful that I have those memories with her. And then there's my mama. My mom has been a light in my life for my whole life. She came from a time of less stability, less opportunity, and she used that as fuel. Despite not having a diploma, she built a very successful career and forged her own path from day one. A path pretty wide, wide enough for my brother and myself and her grandchildren. I don't think my mom has any quit in her. She has always found a way to move forward, regardless of the challenges or obstacles that she faced. And I know she did that for us because she wanted to make sure that we had as comfortable life as we possibly could have. At one point, she worked 5 jobs as a single mom just to make sure that we never went without. And somehow, through all of it, she still showed up for us, for others, and for family. I sometimes don't know how she did it, but I know she did it because I watched her do it. I'm grateful for the lessons that she taught us in that. She still to this day is showing up for other people, whether it's her aging father, her nieces, her nephews. Whenever they graduate or there's a milestone, she's there. She tries to be there for her family. And she is one of the driving forces in the way that we approach the holidays. She just is a very giving person with a really big heart. So I'm grateful that I get to experience that with my mom and watch her continue to be there for people no matter what. I'm even more grateful because of the way that she has always supported me. When I became a young mother, she was there. When I became a single mother, she was there. And she just loved me through it and supported me through it and gave me a little extra boost of guidance when I wasn't able to do it for myself. I also learned a whole lot of determination and accountability from her. She has never wavered in showing us how important it is to stand in our truth, even when it's hard. And I know I would not be the woman I am today without her example. So thank you, Mama. I know you're probably listening, so I love you. Now on to my dad's side of the family. I know a little bit more about my dad's side because of my grandma. She made sure our history was never forgotten. So she would tell us her stories as often as we would let her. I enjoyed the stories, so I listened every single time and I tried to ask questions to get to know more about all of it. One story she never let go of was that of her great-grandmother, Amelia Jeanette Clark. She was my third great-grandmother. Amelia was Native American, believed to be a part of the Shivwit tribe, a branch of Paiute tribe of southern Utah. Her story begins when she was taken from her tribe, from her family, as a baby by a rival tribe. She then was traded to a family for some flour and livestock. And then when she was 11 or 12, I believe the record said that she was then traded again to another family for a horse, as the other family went to California for the gold rush. So that was her beginnings. And in the second family that she ended up with, which was a white household, taught her the pioneering ways, is what I was told, where she learned how to cook and clean and do all of those things that women did in those days. I often wonder what she endured, because while we hear the stories of how they ended up where they did, we don't get to hear how they felt, or the fear or the loss or the confusion of being taken from her family, or what it felt like to be taken from her culture, and how it shifted from home to home and never really feeling like she belonged. I wish I could have met her, and I wish I could have known more of her story, because she was resilient. And it breaks my heart to think of what she must have felt. She got married, and I believe she raised 8 children. I could be wrong. The records that I found were a little unclear on how many children she had. But when her husband died 18 years before she did, she became the head of household and did whatever it took to keep her family together. I was never going to meet her, but I would have loved to. I only got to experience her through my grandmother's stories and what she was told. She stayed connected to the extended family for quite some time, I believe. So she got to learn a lot more about her. And that is why she shared it with me and others in my family, because she wanted us to never forget our roots. From Amelia, I learned survival, strength without recognition, and the quiet courage it takes to keep going when the odds are stacked against you. Her daughter, my great-great-grandmother, I don't know much about her because she passed away at the age of 35. So my great-grandmother was only 13 at the time. I can only imagine what that did to her. And for years, I wondered why so little was said about her, until I understood that sometimes silence is born in loss. My great-grandmother, a woman who seemed to have lived a very hard life, she struggled with alcoholism and caused my grandmother a lot of pain, from what I've been told. And while that part of the story is difficult, I've learned to hold it with compassion. Now that I understand a little bit more, I see why she possibly experienced the challenges she did. She lost her mother at a very young age, and she raised 15 children, my grandmother being the youngest. And while I do not know the full extent of her struggles, I do believe that she did the best she could with what she was given. I can only imagine what losing a mother at a young age is like. And then on top of that, raising 15 children. I know I would be in a psych ward if I had 15 children. Let's just put it that way. 2, great. 15 on the other hand, that is a lot of sacrifice and a lot of energy. So, despite not knowing what she truly experienced and how she was, I can only imagine that she really did do the best she could. Because without her survival, my grandmother would not have become the woman she was. Now on to my grandma, my best friend. She really was my best friend. We were connected so deeply, and I am beyond grateful that she was my grandmother. She was strong, determined, and endlessly resourceful. She was married at 16 with no formal education, yet she worked odd jobs to help support the family as her and my grandfather were building their family. And eventually she was given a chance at a drapery company where she quickly became the head seamstress and later built her own business. She was fiercely independent. Although my grandfather helped her with several things, she still held her own. She was frugal, she was proud, and one of the things I remember is she hated debt. She called lenders crooks, if I remember correctly, and she would always tell me how important it is to never borrow money from other people because they rip you off. So, word of the wise there. She taught me how to live within my means and stand on my own 2 feet with those lessons. And her and my grandfather showed me that love shows up in many ways, not just in words, but in action. And more than that, she showed up for me. She stood up for me. She laughed with me. She held space for me when life was heavy. And she never let me stay stuck in victimhood. She taught me that how I move forward is always my choice. And even after her passing, she continues to guide me in the most unexpected and beautiful ways. She helped accelerate my healing and deepen my understanding of myself and my purpose. One thing she was always afraid of was being forgotten, and I can promise you, she will never be. All of these women, along with many others who have showed up in my life at different times, they hold pieces of who I am. I come from a long line of resilient women. Women who kept going, who adapted, who loved fiercely, and who chose survival even when it wasn't fair. And I want to say this clearly. If you've ever wondered whether you make an impact, you do. It's in how you get back up, in how you love, in how you show up when it's hard, in how you keep going when no one is watching. That matters. You matter. And the way you live today is shaping the path for those who come after. And because this episode is about honoring the women who came before us, those who lit the way even when they couldn't see the path, I want to extend that honoring beyond my own family. This week, I want to dedicate Brooklyn Lights the Way to the incredible women who walked the path as a single mama in my life. And the single mamas everywhere. I am surrounded by amazing women who wake up every day, no matter what, no matter how exhausted, but they are determined to keep moving forward. Women who choose love, responsibility, and strength without applause. Women who do not make excuses. They simply do what needs to be done. At home, at work, in friendship and community. I have watched the single mothers in my life redefine resilience, supporting one another, showing up on the days they feel like they have nothing left, standing back up every time life tries to knock them down. And what moves me most is not just what you do, but how you do it. With humility, with grit, with a quiet, unwavering devotion to your children, and a strong faith that it will all work out. You inspire me, and you remind me what strength truly looks like. You light the way, not just for your children, but for everyone who gets to witness your courage, your perseverance, and your love in motion. This light matters. It ripples outward. It changes lives. I am honored to have so many amazing single mamas in my life. Thank you all for being a light in my life. As we close today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Take this week to look back, gently and intentionally, at the people who made your life possible. Learn their names, listen to their stories, and honor their survival. Not to carry the weight of what they endured, but to recognize the strength that lives on through you. Because you are not here by accident. You are the continuation of their courage, their choices, their love, and their willingness to keep going. As you walk forward, know that you don't walk alone. You carry their light with you, whether you realize it or not. So move through your days with intention, with gratitude that doesn't need to be named to be felt, and with the quiet understanding that the way you show up matters. Because even in the smallest moments, in how you love, in how you rest, and in how you stand back up, you too are lighting the way for someone else. Until next time, I hope your week is filled with gratitude, presence, laughter, and quiet moments that remind you of who you are. Just breathe and remember to find your way to vibe.